The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Careers with Sara on Armed Radio Global. Tonight's topic is going to be about resume. Is resume important? Is resume essential? And if it is, how can you land a job with a perfect resume? For those who are listening to me for the first time, I am Sara, and I'm here every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on air on Armed Radio Global. And if you would like to listen to my previous shows, you can find them on Spreaker.com, on iHeartRadio.com, and as well, it's all posted on my Facebook, Let's Talk Careers with Sara radio show. If you would like to join my group on Facebook, it's called Let's Talk Careers Inner Circle. And I also can be reached via email, Let's Talk Careers with Sarah@gmail.com. Now, for tonight's topic is going to be about resumes. And I have a lot who have messaged me to ask for help with their resume. And, it shows a great deal for having a resume is actually really important because whatever job you are applying for, resume is essential. So what is a resume? Let's say you are a graduate student and you don't know what is a resume. Let's say you are an immigrant and you don't know what is a resume. So a good resume goes a long way. Now, to write a resume is known as a job resume. And a resume is a brief written summary of a job applicant's past employment history, education, and other pertinent information. The term resume is used primarily in America, where it has taken the place of the Latin expression curriculum vitae or CV. Now, how a resume is used? Resumes are used to make a favorable impression on prospective employer. Your resume is often the first impression a potential employer has of you. For this reason, it is often referred to as one of the most crucial steps taken during a job search. Now, let's ask ourselves, why is a resume important? Without a favorable initial impression, a prospective employer is likely to stop considering you as a suitable candidate for the job on offer and move on to other candidates who have provided better resumes. Think of a resume as a tool for marketing yourself. It's more than just a document. It outlines your background, your skills, and your education so that a potential employer is quickly and easily able to see how your individual experiences can contribute to a company's success. If you have never written a resume, don't worry. I am a resume writer and I help job seekers to excel at their job interviews, to excel at their job search. I help them with $1 million resume. That's how one client has actually described me, that I'm writing like $1 million resume, that he for sure got a job. As soon as you are submitting a resume, your resume stands out. I create it in a way that it lays out in a super natural, beautiful way, that it is so professional very crisp, with the proper keywords, with the proper words, with the proper titles that you actually need. And I am really up to date, so I myself recruit people for the job, and I myself know what exactly others are looking for, what exactly that HR is looking for, what is the director looking for, what is the hospital looking for, what is any job type is looking for. They want to see a name that is bold, that is big, that is identifiable, that has the proper funding. And next to the name, you need to have your title. This nobody does, unfortunately, and this is only I know how to do it. So next, and of course now you know too, because I'm giving you the secret. So next to your name, you need to have your title. So every time when I write a title, they say to me, the candidates that I actually write for them, they say, I feel like I'm a doctor. Like you have your name on it, and next to it is MD, but instead of MD, I put IT, or I put TA, or I write MSED, that's for educational, or I write OT, PT, any type of title that you are applying for. This needs to be next to your name, bolded, the same size font, and the same color font. Nothing can be changed. I do play with colors. I do add some colors because when you print, yes, it's going to be black and white. Most recruiters are going to print black and white. They're not going to print in colors. The reason that I am doing it in colors is it's going to be shown on the website as soon as you upload your resume, and B, you are going to walk in with a colored resume, not a black and white. I have had a candidate who would walk into my office, and I would print her resume. Now it's from Indeed.com. What Indeed does is no matter what the layout is, no matter how you write it, their system automatically makes it uniform, meaning that your resume looks the same like the next candidate and the next candidate and the next candidate. It's not changed. So one time I'm interviewing a candidate, and she actually tells me about herself, and I told her, your resume that I have in front of me on Indeed, it's not the same what you're telling me right now. So do you have an updated resume? And she said, yes, she has an updated resume. She came prepared, which is good. And when she handed me her resume was very professional. It had the layout, it had the proper funding, it had the right alignment. Nothing was the same as the Indeed. And she looked at what I have on my desk, and she said, oh, this is something that she uploaded about 6 years ago. It's not the same. It's not the recent one.
Hello, this is Sara Yusupov. Stop by my show, Let's Talk Careers with Sarah, Wednesdays 10 p.m. Eastern, where I will discuss about your dream job, career coaching, answering your questions regarding careers, exclusively on TuneIn Satellite and the Armed Radio Global Networks.
As you can see, a resume is very essential. You need to be prepared and always bring several copies, because you don't know how many people are going to be in the same desk interviewing you. I had once being in the interview with one person, and then that person said, I will have my partner interview you as well, and I needed to have another resume for him. So as a professional, I always be ready, and I always have 10 copies with me. So for me, it's like, you can keep that resume, I have an extra one with me. That is a great impression, very great impression. Sometimes happens to be. I was interviewed one time with 3 people on the desk, not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing that this is actually going to be an interview with 3 people at the same time. You want to have a resume for each interviewer. You don't want to be not prepared. Now, I will move the topic now to something else. That what happens, let's say you get the job and now you are not happy. So there are ways to be happy at a job, and I will start with becoming an independent contractor. There is a big trend in the market today for companies to outsource part of their total operation, and in most cases it's beneficial to both the company and its employees. The company is able to get rid of a lot of peripheral expenses such as insurance, office space, cars, etc., while the employees outsourced can often make a good deal, more than they would if they worked directly for the company. So I'm here referring to people who are virtual assistants. Let's say you are a secretary or you are an administrative and you are looking to work in your home because you have kids, you have other reasons to stay home and work. So instead of going to the office, you can be an independent contractor. You are signing a contract that you are going to deliver what you promised, and they are going to pay you. And there are also graphic designers who are independent contractors. There are also marketers who are independent contractors. And there are several other positions that are independent contractors. So this is a nicer way to say that you are a freelancer. Freelancers are all independent contractors. This is just another option for you to make yourself happy and work at the same time while you are at home. You can be also a star performer. Regardless of what you do, be it a nurse, an accountant, or a receptionist, if you are a star performer, you are going to get the big bonuses, the stock options, the right kind of compensation. Remember, good companies will go the extra mile to get and keep the best people. If you are not at least attempting to become one, all bets are off. Now, if you disagree, don't be disagreeable. Some people attempt to ask for additional compensation through the use of ultimatums. This is a very bad strategy. It will not work. Even in a tight labor market, you will create more ill will than it is worth. I have seen cases where the workers used an ultimatum to get what they wanted in the short term, only to find out they were in a cul-de-sac later when it came to promotions, trapped. Either way, it's a terrible strategy. If you disagree with the outcome of your most recent proposal, send a memo to your boss or a decision maker thanking him or her for the chance to meet and present your ideas about the new position or new compensation package, and let your boss know that though you were somewhat disappointed in the outcome, you're confident that in the time, the issue can be resolved in a way that will be mutually beneficial. Most managers will appreciate the fact that you handle the situation professionally. An option is to test the waters and see what your value is on the open market. Go to websites like salary.com, or there is one, it's called Erie.com. That's spelled ERIERI.com. And they will show you what your value is in your industry, in your market. Or go to interview with companies who are looking for someone like you and see what they think you are worth. Once determined, You can approach your boss with findings. Be professionals about it and tell your boss, I've been approached by certain people with an offer. I'd rather stay here. Can we get together and see if we can work something out? Today's job market is ideal to help you get what you want. If you approach it in the right way, if your goal is to make more money and achieve more balance in your life, you can do that by doing the necessary research and approaching other companies. There were times in the past, the recent past, when it wasn't too easy to move up, and the employee was more of a hostage to the system, but the pendulum has swung to the worker's side, and article after article in magazines and newspapers underscore my point. The worker is in a great position to get what he or she wants. In the second you can get what you want. And I just want you to know that the truth is that many companies are willing to give more equity to more employees. Employers understand that the workforce situation has changed, and the better companies are giving stock options and other inducements to attract and retain people. We are in a very tight labor market, and companies are desperate for skilled employees in many areas. In order to attract and keep the best employees, they have to offer an attractive compensation package. And I say it in a way that when you go to Indeed.com, there are endless jobs, endless job positions available, job openings available. So you can't say there is no job for me, it's a tight market, there is no such thing. There are jobs available all the time. And if you heard my previous show last week, I spoke about recruiters and staffing agencies. They have many positions available and they are looking to fill them up. And they have no time to put it sometimes on Indeed. They have half posted on Indeed and the rest is not. It's just time consuming for them to do it. So for you as a job seeker, that is a great opportunity now to find and nitpick what position you want to work for. So get it straight. Don't be thinking, I don't have a job. If you are a person that says, I've been looking for a job for 6 months, something is wrong with you. It's either you are not writing your resume properly, it's either you are not following up, it's either you are not writing your cover letter properly, it's either you are not following instructions. There are so many things that matter, and you think it doesn't matter. So be active and proactive. Now, I'm going to ask you one thing. If you feel that you want something from your employer, let's say a salary, a promotion, a better position, I don't know, ask for it. The most important thing is that you ask for it. That would seem obvious, but it's not to many people. You'll be surprised at the number of people I talk to who are upset because their company isn't giving them a chance to own stock options in the company. Stock options are an agreement to buy stock in the company at an agreed upon discounted price. And you can just learn more about it on salary.com or your local library. Most companies are not going to offer such compensation unless you push them for it, unless you ask. At one time, companies were willing to give stock options to only a select few. Now they are much more willing to spread the wealth. I know a number of companies that give stock options and to almost everyone, janitors, receptionists, vice presidents, There are also companies who are doing well in the market. Companies like the HP, Cisco, and Microsoft. Coincidence? I don't think so. You need to ask for it. Now, also, be a star performer. What is a star performer? Someone who consistently performs at a level higher than required by that person's boss or their written position description. It's tough to go to your boss and ask for stock options or for some equity if you're only an average performer. To be a star performer, you have to think like a small business owner instead of an employee. Consider what you do as your own mini business. If you work hard and find creative ways to do business, you'll prosper. If not, you're just putting in time on the clock. There'll be no action to get a piece, at least not in your part of the forest. So thinking about it is going to really be helpful. Now, go to work for a company that shares the wealth. When you're first looking for a job, I coach my clients to investigate potential employers to see if they share the wealth. Ask for specific examples of how that works. Ask them what percentage of their employees currently have an equity position. Ask them what the company's plans are for the future. Ask them how flexible and open to negotiations they are. If their responses aren't positive, perhaps that isn't a company you would want to work for. So, what types of equity are available? One is the stock option, the most common form of equity in a company. You're potentially in an exceptionally good position if you go to work for a startup company. The upside is that you may become a millionaire in a very short time if the company successfully goes public. The downside is that you may work your tail off 16-hour days, even 7 days a week, and end up with a pretty paltry paycheck. Then there's the shares in projects. Some companies have discovered that they can't afford to give up more of the companies via stock options. In lieu of that, they have developed a method whereby individuals or teams get shares in a new project. Say a company is rolling out a new product or opening a new market or starting a new service. Those involved would receive shares contingent upon certain timelines, profitability, and other projections. You would get shares in the projects which you could turn into cash at some predetermined time. Typically, all those details are worked out prior to the start of the project and contained in the written agreement. Phantom shares. Some companies have no intentions to go in public. Some of these companies have created phantom shares. The employee invests cash in the company, and based upon a predetermined and agreed upon set of performance metrics, the principal rises or falls, depending on how the company or the project does. There is a buyout provision, of course, usually after 3 to 5 years. I've known people who have invested a few $1,000s and walked away 4 or 5 years later with a very healthy nest egg. We are talking about from few $1,000s to upper 6 figures. Companies today realize that giving employees a piece of the action is simply good business. It's a way to motivate people and to attract and keep the best people available. Learn to position yourself with your employer and get in on the action. I'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Found a place to celebrate? But wait, you are missing a sweet table. With fancy desserts and a menu full of items of your choice. Call 347-265-5063. You can have a sweet table as if you are a celebrity. Quality worth every penny. Order from New York Artisan Bakery. Want to win your party? Call 347-265-5063.
Now let's go over some of the case studies in order for you to understand what I mean by having other means of compensation. So case study number 1. Maria was a client who worked inside sales, taking customer calls, tracking orders, dealing with the warranty issues. Although she liked the job, she wanted something more challenging and something that paid more money. Don't you feel that sometimes, that you want to have something that is challenging, to get more responsibilities in order for you to get more money? I know a lot are feeling this way. The feeling that their old job is just doing the same routine, and now they just feel they want to be challenged. With a little coaching from me, she went to the decision maker in her company and proposed that she take on a new position whereby she would be the lead on-site person at a major account. The company had a client who was buying millions of dollars of computer products and services. In her proposal, she suggested that she work on-site at the customer's facility so she could get a better feel for their needs and requirements. Part of her proposal incorporated programs she had developed which she could implement with a client to help them do a better, more efficient job with ordering products and services. Her boss loved it, and the client loved it, and she got a piece of the action by negotiating a percentage of the increased sales and profits. She ended up making 38% more in total compensation for the year. Now, let's go over to the case number 2. Rick was a CPA who had worked in that capacity with several large companies. Unfortunately, he was locked into that mid-single-digit race track, the slow track. We worked together and came up with a strategy that involved looking for a technology startup company. He hooked up with a small company as the chief financial officer, his highest position to date. Though he actually took a cut in pay, he got a significant piece of the action in the form of stock options, performance bonuses, and the promise that as the company grew and prospered, his compensation would change to reflect that. At the end of 2 years, he was making more money than ever. Plus, he had several thousand shares of stock in a software development company that happened to hit it big. He effectively doubled his total compensation over the 2 years, plus ended up with a solid 6-figure nest egg. Of course, not all of us can hit it so big, but the lesson here is that by reevaluating where you are and rethinking what it is you want, you can reinvent yourself or your job and work to land a position with your present company or another company that will give you what you want. Now, I want you to do some exercises that I'm going to share with you to do it at home and to do it this week. So the first one will be to evaluate your strategies for increasing your compensation. It's not enough to be valuable to your company. You have to be seen to be valuable. A baseball player who hits dramatic, game-winning home runs 3 times a year will get noticed more than the solid performer who hits .300 and shows up every day. That's America. We're drawn to people who exhibit not just skill, but an innate sense of timing. The following exercises will give you some starting points for planning a well-compensated future. First, what you have to do is to look for home run opportunities. Star performers are always on the lookout for home runs. They find the great opportunities because they continually look for them. They know how to take advantage of an opportunity when they find one. Go ask your boss, what would be a home run for the company? Then ask yourself what you could do to bring it about. Then the second thing is know what you want. How much money do you want to make next year? The year after? 5 years from now? Be specific. When you have written your plan, include in your career map. As much as possible is not a useful answer to these questions. You need to have specific figure in mind and a plan which will manifest that amount of income. It gives you something concrete to work toward and measure off when you have succeeded. If you want to be a millionaire by the time you're 45, you'd better have a well-crafted plan which has the potential to take you there. If you just want to be comfortable and debt-free by 45, it suggests a totally different plan. Successful and satisfied people know how much is enough. They know that more isn't always better. They know that jobs which pay the big bucks can have costs too. Less time, less freedom, more ulcers. Trust me when I tell you that knowing how much money is enough is one of the key ingredients to a satisfying career and a satisfying life. At a certain point in your financial life, more money just doesn't translate into a measurably better life. So, the desire for more income is often a band-aid solution to a poor management of your personal finances. Every financial advisor will tell you that it's not how much you make that counts, it's how much you keep. If you think of increasing your income as the only solution to reaching your financial goals, you're missing a huge factor. Your spending patterns determine your financial well-being as much as your earning patterns. Increasing income when you don't have a handle on your spending is like pouring more water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. So, be willing to ask what you want. If you don't ask for more, it's a guarantee you won't get it. At some point, you have to ask. Knowing when and how is a trick. Your critic will try and sabotage you by convincing you that it's never quite the right time, that you are not really worth the salary you are asking for. Crucial to any negotiation is your genuine confidence that your labor is worth more than you are currently being paid. This doesn't mean you go into a compensation negotiation thinking that you are owed something and feeling resentful about being slighted. It means you know what you can do, you know what you have done, and the value of you have to your business. Don't let your drama diminish your worth, and you are halfway to winning this particular battle. What does your critique say about asking for more? What's an alternative way to look at it which would make you likely to put together a strong proposal and negotiate a great compensation package? I would also suggest you to research what are the compensation potentials of your current career before you position yourself for a more senior job in your current area of expertise. Do some research about possible salaries. There are many websites which gives you access to this information, such as salary.com, as I said before. If the top level of your area of expertise earns $85,000 and your financial plan calls for a six-figure income, you may need to explore other career paths to find ways to add additional value in that position. If you're going to negotiate a great compensation package, you have to know what's normal for that position and what's usually included in the job description. If you can add elements to the job description that increase your value to the company, you are in a strong negotiating position. Then the next thing is, do you know how to negotiate? If you listen to my 3 shows about 3 weeks ago, that I have spoken about how to negotiate salaries, then you should know how to negotiate already. But if you missed it, you can go to Facebook and find me there. Let's Talk Careers with Sara. All my recordings are placed in there. And you can listen to my previous shows in order for you to understand much better how to negotiate salaries. Whether you are at the interview, whether you are at your new job, whether you are at the current job, there are ways to ask for more. So making yourself more valuable to your employer will get you nowhere if you don't know how and when to ask for more. So brush up your negotiating skills. There are plenty of good books in this area which show you which show you what successful negotiators do. Try your local library or articles, or you just listen to my recordings that are posted on my Facebook page, Let's Talk Careers with Sara. So an investment in building good negotiating skills will repay itself many times over. So what kind of compensations do you want? So you have to answer the following inquiries, okay? If you have trouble answering these questions, talk them over with a financial advisor. So, how much of your compensation would you be willing to link to your personal performance? How much of your compensation would you be willing to link in the long-term performance of the company? Shares and stock options. What kind of compensation package would most motivate you to perform? Sometimes all the negotiating strategies and skills lead nowhere. Sad but true. If you keep coming up against a wall, it might be time to ask yourself a big question. Should I consider a career change? You find yourself peering down a career path that doesn't appear to offer much potential for growth, either financially or personally. It's not fun. It's not moving up toward your financial goals. Your happy meter has stopped working and you longer look forward to going to work. Sounds similar? You no longer look forward to going to work? So there are 2 options here. Assume that the problem is in the job you have or the company you work for. So the solution would be find a better job in a better company. Assume that your attitude and your choices have something to do with how you experience your job. The solution would be to reinvent yourself in your current career using the model of the change agent and the star performer. Jobs are rather like intimate relationships. Sometimes you're just with the wrong person, it isn't healthy, and it's best for everyone to just end the relationship. Sometimes a relationship is worth working on. All you can do is do your best. Show up with your passion, your gifts, and your commitment, and you will be surprised how your work environment and your perception of it can transform. If it doesn't, you have lost nothing and had some great practice learning to be a star performer and change agent. So here is the second exercise that I want you to do. Make the commitment to being a star performer in your current job for a predefined period of time. 3 or 6 months is a good starting position. Practice your star performer skills diligently and see what doors open for you which you wouldn't have seen before. If they don't, you can more You can just move to your next job in the secure knowledge that you did your part, and probably with the great references too. What is missing in your current position, the presence of which would make your career more fulfilling? Imagine you can find this in your current job. Where would you look? When it's genuinely time for career change, you're the best. You're here the best. 2 questions to start your search. Take your time with them. They could be the foundations of a new career path. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? And what would you do if money was not a factor in your career choices? I want you to dwell on it for a bit while I'm taking a break, and then we'll be right back. Now, let's move to the next topic, okay? Let's say you got the interview. Now, it's your job to get the job. Okay, if you think there have been a lot of changes in the job market in the last few years, fasten your seatbelts because the next 5 years will see things change even more dramatically. This means that in every area of your career planning, you are going to have to rethink your basic strategy about the ways in which your career will grow and prosper. I can't emphasize enough that even if you're doing well at the moment, if you don't understand what's around the corner, you're liable to be blindsided several years down the road. If you think that you have the job market figured out, you may find yourself in for awakening in the not too distant future. Don't get blindsided. Use your career strategy even if it's a decade old. What I want to talk about is taking steps to respond to the new job market. Though some companies will require a resume from prospective employees, resumes are rapidly becoming things of the past. However, if only they are old. So your resume needs to be trendy, looking professionally, and looking outstanding. And what is taking its place is the job proposal. The job proposal has worked for me and many of my clients. And when I say job proposal, is mainly the cover letter. But whether you are evaluated on the basis of the job proposal or a resume or an interview, the goal is to differentiate yourself from the other candidates. The job market is tilted in the direction of employees. It is not without competition. In addition to recent grads who are first-time job seekers, there are lots of people presently employed who are looking for better positions. So you have to be prepared. Job proposals. A job proposal is a very effective tool to get you in front of the person you want to see at the company you want to go to work for. And that's what you want. Resumes are designed to do the same thing. The difference is that nobody's going to hire you on the strength of a resume, no matter how good it is. Agree? Although you do hire a professional who is going to get you to write you a resume, and the job of it is just to get you the interview. And I say to all my clients, if you want to get a job, a resume alone is not gonna do it. You have to know how to get into the interview, and then it will be up to you to decide what questions to answer, how to conduct yourself. It's up to you. And also, the hiring managers have their own perception of what the role is and the personality is. And a resume to keep it on their desk is fine, but it's not a guarantee that because of the resume you will get a job. It's not a guarantee. Now, employers will still need to see you, to talk to you, to ask questions about how you would respond to certain situations. That is the purpose of the time-honored interview. Both a great resume and a great job proposal are designed to set you up for the interview. Without getting an interview, you are never going to get hired. Has to be clear. Without an interview, you are never going to get hired. In the past, prospective employees were under the misconception that a great resume was going to win the job. Essentially, all resumes do is get you on the list of people to be considered. When a job posting goes out, companies are usually deluged with resumes. Technology has allowed people across the country to post resumes on job billboards websites. Examples of big name sites including headhunter.net, careermag.com, monster.com, sixfigurejobs.com, and techies.com, and also indeed.com. The human resource department of the hiring manager does keyword searches on such electronic resumes, and if you don't have the right keywords, you are ruled out. And the only ones who know the keywords are the recruiters themselves and career coaches and resume writing professionals, but legit ones, not the ones who call themselves resume writers. They know the system and they know what keywords to put in each and every position. It doesn't matter what industry you work for, they know. So for me, I always help because I know there is a tracking system that's called applicant tracking system. You can Google it up. And that system really helps to filter resumes for hiring managers not to waste time. So if you don't have the right keywords, you're ruled out. You don't even make the first cut. Think about it. For a managerial job, if they get 500 resumes, which is not usual, they are going to want to talk to 15, 20, maybe 30 people at most. For a lower level job, they may get 20 to 30 resumes and only want to talk to 5 or to 10 people at most. So the bulk of the work is done to rule people out rather than rule them in. I know some terrific people, highly skilled in their area of expertise. People many companies would be glad to have who get ruled out simply because they don't have the right resume. If you don't get a call back after you submit your resume for a job, you're sure you are perfect for the reason that you haven't done a good job differentiating yourself from the competition on your resume. My point is not to bash resumes. They have their place. I have to drive home the fact that you want to differentiate yourself from the rest of the people seeking the job you want, and that is the purpose of the job proposal. One time, my brother was doubting me about my skills in writing resumes. Although I have lots of reviews on Facebook and Yelp, and although I have lots of experience writing resumes and I show like proven results, people do get a job after my training. So he decided to ask me to do him a favor and write a resume for him, which I did. And he said he submitted a resume at 9 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. And on that same day at 2 p.m., he had an interview. That was shocking for him because to him, he would write his own resume like the average people do. And he would get a job maybe in a week, maybe in 2 weeks. The most would be 3 weeks. So he's good in his field writing his own resume. But for me, it's time really value that you don't want to waste. So he was amazed that he wasn't even prepared for an interview. Because for him, it's like, wow, I just got a job offer, you know. So these things is not really fascinating for me because it's not the first time I hear it. I have done resumes for nurses, for therapists, for teachers, educators, occupational therapists, physical therapists, special instructors, special education instructors. I did also for loan officers, vice presidents. I have written so many resumes and I have coached for so many years about interviews. So this is going to be like a great hit if somebody really goes to a professional resume writer. Some who don't follow my instructions, who don't follow my coaching system, they think they know it all. They think that they don't need to have interview coaching because a resume should be suffice. And I say, when you have a resume, you only get interviews. The rest is up to you. And they get upset because they don't get jobs. They go for interviews, but they don't get jobs, and they blame me. But you don't blame somebody who helped you. It is up to you to decide if you want to take coaching sessions with me for interview or you are on your own. People who are cheap, who don't want to waste money because they think it's a waste, and I think it's an investment because you learn now how to get your interview skills, and then next time that you want to switch a job, you already know how to do those interview skills again and again. This is an investment for a lifetime. Same thing with a resume. It's an investment for a lifetime. You are going to use the same format, the same way it's written, and it's going to be much cheaper the next time you are going to update it. So this is something that people need to understand. As job seekers, this is your goal. Now, just what is a job proposal? It's a 1 or 2 page mini business plan that you present to the company in order to get an interview. Okay? For me, a job proposal is a cover letter. But in some cases, a job proposal is a portfolio. I call it resume folio because it's a portfolio where you are presenting this to an employee, to the employer, and this makes you stand out from the crowd. So how you go about presenting this material is markedly different from a resume. A resume primarily tells you what you have done in the past. A job proposal tells you what you are going to do in the job you are applying for when you get it. Then when you get into the interview situation and the company wants to clarify some of the ways in which you have told them you can help them, your track record comes into play. You can show them how the skills you have developed during your previous experience meshed well with what you are trying to accomplish. In the job proposal, you want to be as specific as you can be about what you are going to do for the company to whom you are applying for a job. The proposal tells the company you are interested enough to find out what they do, how they do it, where they are strong, and perhaps where they are not so strong. It shows them you are a problem solver, an independent thinker, someone who has thought through the requirements of the job and has a game plan to get the job done. Again, when I made 4 job changes in 5 years, receiving the signing bonuses and the stock options and tripling my pay, I used a job proposal. And though the companies may not have hired me to implement exactly the ideas I spelled out in my proposal, it showed I had thought through the job and its requirements, and it differentiated me from the rest of the field. The companies liked the fact that I was creative enough to come up with some new ideas that might help them. even if the ideas themselves were not perfectly fit. So you should include in your job proposal exactly what you are going to do for the company, to the best of your knowledge, including your responsibilities. Other team members would like to be a part of this enterprise. 3 or 4 main things you hope to accomplish and the time frame you participate to get them done. You might even propose opening a new office for them. I did this with ethnics, who at that time didn't have a presence in the Denver area. And I found out who the key decision maker was and presented my 2-page mini business plan. In it, I proposed to open a new office for them here in Denver, and explaining that my title would be what team members I would require for a successful operation, how we would go after the market, and the kinds of accounts we would target, among other things. Whether you are applying for a managerial job or a job as a legal secretary, the job proposal shows that you have done your research, you have talked to some people in the company, or someone who knows how the company operates. You probably won't get anybody to give you inside information. You don't need it, and probably don't want it anyway, but you can get valuable insights into how the company operates and what direction they are taking or intending to take. The job proposal should be very businesslike. The language you use should reflect that. You want to quickly and succinctly get to the key elements in your proposal. Once you have finished the job proposal, send it to the decision maker for the particular position that you're applying for. How do you find that one? Make inquiries, do your research. What you don't want is to send your proposal through ordinary channels like human resources or the employment office. Your chances of being noticed are going to be greatly reduced. So find the decision maker, find out how they like to receive communication, fax, mail, email, and set it. The information about how people like to receive communication is not all that hard to find out. You can call the receptionist at the targeted company and explain that you are sending some material to Mr. Smith, for example, and we're wondering how he likes to receive his communication. If the person doesn't know, he or she will not send you back to the department in question, and you will get an answer closer to the source. So I've never not been able to find out. Is that a double negative? The job proposal is the current and future vehicle to use to get your noticed and differentiates you from the competition. Now, many people use the job proposal right now. A number of my clients have used it over the last year, and our success ratio is 2 to 3 times what we get just using the straight resume. It's part of the new thinking. It's a new way of looking how you have thought through and developed your career, as well as how you work to get where you want to go. I can say unequivocally that it works. Use it. I am running out of time, so that will be another topic we'll discuss in my show perhaps next Wednesday. And I would like to say thank you for those who are listening to me. Thank you so much for doing your homework, by listening to experts like me about jobs, about resumes, and about how to be happy in a work environment. So I really want to say thank you again. So I'm going to see you next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Armed Radio. Let's talk careers with Sarah.